In this one, I want to show you how to edit photos within Instagram. So all the features within Instagram to get your photos looking great. So let's get Instagram open and go to add a photo just from my library. So I'm just going to choose a selfie here, which is probably what most people are going to be editing. So let's go through all the options in terms of editing this to make it look a little bit better. So I just want to use this image in particular. Within Instagram, you can actually choose the multiple option and you can get some layouts. We're not going to do that now though. You can also select multiple images and actually put them together so people can swipe through them. But let's just use one image right now. Click next, and then we can go through all the editing features. Firstly, you can see in the top center, there is actually an auto button. So if you press this, it's going to edit the photo for you in an automated way. The computer system is essentially going to make it look better, at least what it thinks is better. So if you press that, you can see it's actually chosen a LUT, which is a lookup table. It's basically just a style. You can definitely see that the picture has changed. It's got a little bit more contrasty. It's chosen the best style that it thinks for this photo. If you go down to the bottom, you can see a slider bar here. So the style that it's applied to the image is around 50 at the moment. So if you turn it up more than that, it's going to be a little bit stronger. So you can see it gets even more contrasty. And I think this doesn't look really good. I think the dark areas are just way too dark. You can also turn it right down though to -100. And again, this doesn't look good. It's just way too light. There isn't much contrast. So maybe 50 was actually the right amount for this particular style. You can choose that, press done, and it's all done for you. You can also press the auto again, and it will just go through to what it had chosen for you. You can then edit it there if you want to edit it more. Just press cancel if you don't want to use that. And if you want to choose your own filters, then you can look through all of the options down at the bottom. So these are just going to give you some different styles, different colors. You can just go through and choose which one you think looks really good. Also, if you choose one and then double tap it, it will come up with that slider bar again, which is really important because a lot of these styles are really, really too strong and you don't want them as strong as they actually are. So you can use that slider bar and just turn them down to a level that looks a little bit more pleasing on the eye. To the right hand side of that slider bar in all of these as well is a option just to add a border around your image. Press it to add the border, press it again to take the border away. Use the slider bar to change the image to where you would want it. If you want to save that, just press done. If you want to cancel out without saving any of those, then just press cancel and it will go back to the last style that you chose. I'm just going to go on normal for now. They are the filters though. Also, there's an option, as you can see down in the bottom right hand side, that says edit. If you click that, then you can edit all of the styles and different parts of the image individually. This is basically manual controls and something where you can really just get the style and the features that you want. Firstly is the adjust button that changes how straight the photograph is. So if you took it maybe at a weird angle, then you can go and straighten it or change the angle. Mine was okay, so I didn't need to do that. You can also change the perspective of the photo, choose that option, then use the slider bar at the bottom and it's going to change. Actually, I think these options are quite good. You can change it a little bit and change the look without making it look crazy. So definitely good. If you want to just go back to the normal of the way that you took the photo, just click the X box to the right hand side and it will just go back to what it was when you imported it. No changes whatsoever. You can also change the way that the photo is displayed on screen with that button in the top right hand corner. The grid is really good. You can press the grid in the top left to take it on or off or change how many grids there are. Definitely a useful feature. Brightness changes how bright the image is and is good as a general rule of thumb in terms of the image. I would suggest doing this last though, because you're changing the brightness of the entire image. So let's cancel out of that one and go change some other things first. Contrast is definitely something you want to change first. And it changes the difference between the highlights and the lowlights. So if I turn it up, you can see it gets very contrasty. If I turn it down, the contrast is less. Doesn't look very good. So I would say on this image in general, it needs to be more contrasty. So just play around with it. And I think around here is a good add of contrast without making it look too crazy. So I'm going to save that and press done. Structure changes essentially the sharpness of the image. So as you can see, when I turn it up, It's kind of really over sharpened, almost looks cartoony. But I think in this instance, I could add some. So I'm going to just add maybe a little bit, maybe 10 of structure, press save and done on that one. Warmth and saturation definitely should be used in conjunction with each other. You might want to change warmth first. So it's going to go either yellow or blue. If I turn it to the right, it's going to add a lot of yellow tones to make it look like the sun is shining outside. If you turn it blue, it's going to look a lot colder, like it's a winter's day. I personally think this image is going to benefit from me actually turning the image a little bit bluer than it was. I think the yellow doesn't look that great. So I'm just going to turn the blue down a little bit to -6 on this occasion, press done. Saturation plays with how punchy the colors are, and you can definitely overdo it. If I turn it to the right, way too oversaturated. If I turn it to the left, if it goes black and white. I think that this image can benefit from some saturation. So I'm going to turn that up a little bit, possibly to 15 here. I think overall that looks quite good. So done and save. Colors also something that you can change. So you can maybe have a purple tint or a red tint, blue tint. Sometimes it looks pretty good. If you put a red tint on here, it definitely looks quite stylized. You have to change the shadows and highlights separately. Right now I'm on the shadows, the dark parts of the image. If I switch over to highlights, you can change that completely. As you can see, it's just really the highlights on my face there that are being changed. So you can get some really unique features here. Definitely looks a little bit strange overall. I don't think this image needs any difference in color, so I'm going to cancel out of that. As you can see, my changes were not saved. Moving through to highlights and shadows like we were looking at then. So now you can change just the highlights of the image. If I move it to the right, very too bright. If I move it to the left, it's too dark. This image for me was a little bit overexposed in the highlights, meaning it's too bright in the highlights. So I definitely do want to take those down a little bit and get some more detail in the highlights. As you can see, it's a subtle change, but from the original down to this one, I think I brought back some detail. So I'm going to keep it like that, press done. Shadows for me also are a little bit dark, as you can see in my hair on the right. Definitely a bit dark for me. So I'm just going to see if bringing up the shadows may work. And I actually don't think that it's going to be able to save detail in my hair there without setting up the rest of the image. So I'm actually going to just take the highlights down a little bit. My hair is too dark there, but that's just the way it is. The rest of the image for me looks pretty good with that. So I'll press done and save. Vignette is also a very cool thing. So you can add that around the image. As you can see, it really makes the subject stand out of the image, makes the edges around it darker. I think it looks really cool. Using too much doesn't really look cool. So I'm going to go to about half here, and I think it just focuses the eye in on my face. So press done and save. The other options, not really used that often. Sharpen is something you can use just to sharpen up the details in the image. For selfies and portraits, I don't think it's too good to be ultra sharp because it definitely makes all of your imperfections stand out. So I'm just going to pretty much add one on here. And I have changed the image significantly to what it was before. I've focused the user in on my face by using Vignette. I've made the image a little bit more contrasty and punchy, brought out a lot more detail as opposed to what it was. If it was helpful, please give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.